Alright, so this is now part 3 of this month's community video. I'm releasing this one a little earlier than I thought I would, mainly because on Thursday we are getting the testing grounds and the Warriors Den, which is what I want to focus on after that stuff goes up, as I'm sure there will be plenty to talk about. As always, if you watch these videos somewhat regularly, I'd really appreciate it if you sub to the channel. It really helps me out. Also, feel free to check out the links in the description. One leads to our merch and the other leads to our Discord server if you're interested. Now let's not waste any more time and get right into it. So starting things off, Synapse says, do you think that For Honor will also be playable on next gen? For Honor with 60 FPS, less input delay, and so on would be amazing for next gen consoles. I think this is a question that could be asked about just about any live service game that's going on right now. We all have no idea how these studios are going to handle their games moving forward, as this is all somewhat new. There's a chance that crossplay is coming to all of Ubi's current PvP focused titles, which would be nice, but would crossplay be possible between next gen consoles and current gen consoles, or of course PC? Or will we be playing the exact same game, but with backwards compatibility? I do think it'd be amazing if For Honor moved into a new generation. I'd be happier with a new title though, but people who prefer to play on console should also be able to enjoy the game at its best, and if that's possible on next gen consoles, I'm all for it. Next up, the TX Oso says, with the game releasing only 2 heroes this year, do you think that the game needs more unique events going through the season, or at least something like a mini event? I think bringing back old events for a week would be good to get some certain stuff for new characters who weren't around during the event. What kind of events would you bring to keep the game going in the seasons without new heroes? You guys always manage to ask me things that I was just talking about with friends a few days prior. I really do hope that seasons 1 and 3 of year 4 do something really interesting so that we're not just waiting for the new heroes to release. I know that the testing grounds will be used, so I'm thinking that reworks or big changes can be the highlight of a season like we saw before, but if it isn't much, if it isn't big, then I'm hoping that they've got a bit more in store for us. I'm not sure if they do, multiple big events in a season though, like 2 mid-season events. I really wouldn't mind seeing a few more events return at this point, mainly so that we'd have something to do, and I do think it'd be pretty cool if some of the newer heroes got some event loot. And I do sort of regret not taking advantage of some of the earlier events like Apollyon's Legacy. And there are people that are happy that Frostwind Festival returned so that they can pick up loot that they couldn't get, and newer players that never got to play in the first place get to play now, so that's something. The downside is that those who did participate in those events and spent time grinding to get all of the loot could be upset, as now everyone will have access to the limited time loot that they grinded for, but to me, that's not anything I'm really worried about. And Irish Bat says, my house is on fire. Abdulaziz Alamid says, where is Centurions Rework? This is the most asked question out of this entire series, and probably the most asked question on this channel for the past 4 months. In videos where I mention the Cent rework, people ask, where is the Cent rework? If a video has absolutely nothing to do with Centurion at all, people will ask, where is the Cent rework? I could probably delete my channel at this point and receive physical mail asking about the Cent rework. Some people believe for some reason that Ubi dropped the rework and stopped working on it because they believe it was terrible. And it's not really a bad thing that people keep asking about it. To me, it shows that people still care in a way. Centurion is still really popular and people want to play and enjoy a hero that they love, even if they decide to not play the game at all until the rework arrives. And I get it, it's been 4 months since the last testing grounds. So the short answer to your question is that the rework isn't totally finished yet. It's not done. Ubi has been polishing up the rework to make sure that it's all set and ready to go. There was good with the rework, but there were still things that needed to be worked on. A few of the things that they mentioned they wanted to work on has to do with Centurion's opponents rolling away from his jab, how annoying light jab could be, the wall splat not always guaranteeing a charged heavy, and then Lion's Roar being buggy with Haymaker, with a few other things they were looking into like the parry punish, the guard break vulnerability of the heavies, and how much damage Eagle's Talon did. They did mention that they really wanted to take their time with this rework so that they could get rid of any infinites or loops that could be exploited, and trust me, the last thing you want to deal with is things like this. I do believe that we will be able to use the Centurion rework again on Thursday, or at least I hope so. It would make sense to allow us to use him again after 4 months, unless it's in an unplayable state or something, but it seems right. You know, sometimes it's good to just give things to thousands of people at once and let them play around with it and test things out, as we'll be able to provide feedback and potentially find things that may have slipped through the cracks. It would be really tragic if we got our hands on it though and poked holes all through it. I mean, sure, it's good that it'd be found before the changes went live, but it'd suck because we'd have to wait even longer. I don't think that'll happen though. If we do get to play it and everything's looking good and ready to go, I think we'd see the rework go live pretty soon. That's just speculation though, but to answer your question, it is not ready yet. Next up, Doa Hawkins says, will the game get the old gritty look to it? Back in beta, it was more immersive than what we have now. And also, should Ubisoft add minions to all 3 objectives as a grand dominion, not just point B? I'm not sure if they should do that to Dominion, but whenever I see or hear a comment like the first part of your question, I always wonder what exactly it is that the person saying it is thinking about when they mention the grittiness. Was it the slower paced gameplay, the more serious masked original cast, the first set of main menu music that I sorely miss, or was it how the game portrayed itself, you know, through its trailers and all that? Or could it have been just the originality of it all, the idea of this game, and the fact that we hadn't played anything like this before? I wonder if new players that pick up the game today feel the same way that a lot of us did when we first played the game 3 years ago. I don't think the game will ever feel the way it did. Honestly, even if For Honor released a sequel, I doubt that we'd feel the same way, because we already experienced For Honor and we sort of know what to expect and its core premise. We've come really far since the launch of For Honor, and I don't believe it'll ever have that gritty feel nowadays unless there were some massive changes to the game. Ellis747 says, can we please get back the voice actors of the 12 default heroes to voice out new lines? I always hear recycled and reused grunts and battle cries when there is a new emote or finisher. I think we're going to hear the same noises for a while now. There was an attempt at revamping all the noises and whatnot with the responsive dialogue system, but we all know what happened with that. Unfortunately, it's impossible for them to gather all 12 of the original cast, and even grabbing most of the original voice actors would probably be tough. I think we'd have a better chance at seeing the responsive dialogue thing make a return, and with it we'd probably receive more grunts and struggle noises. Of course, if they decide to do that, I hope that they attempt to keep the voices similar to what we have in the game now, rather than give them all new voices, even if I did like some of the newer ones. Captain Hazard says, are there any games coming out this year that you are excited for? Maybe ones you want to cover on the channel. The only game that I'm genuinely actively looking forward to right now is Cyberpunk. I'm not sure if I'll cover that game on this channel though. The only other game I've been playing and actually enjoying is Escape from Tarkov though. I plan on making a video about the game down the line after I play it more, as there's just so much to learn. But I haven't had too much fun with first-person shooters recently, and Tarkov changed that. It's nowhere near perfect. It's still got a lot of work that needs to be done, and it's still in beta, but it's one of the most engaging shooters I've played in years, probably because there's so much to it, and the fact that it doesn't even try to act like it's going to hold your hand. It just makes improving and learning things a good time, despite how frustrating it can get. I didn't think I'd fall into the trap of Tarkov. I started playing it just before it got really popular on Twitch and YouTube, and figured it was just the hype talking, but every time I boot the game up, I know that I'm in for a good time in some way, and that's what I'm looking for in a video game. This is my first serious shooter on PC where I'm forced to play on mouse and keyboard, and I'm still having a blast. If you're on the fence about the game, I highly recommend you try it out. Anyways, that's all I've got for this video. Now at this point, I'm just waiting for Thursday, not only for the testing grounds, but because I really want to know if they're going to mention anything about year 4, or more so, are they going to show us anything about year 4? You know, a sneak peek at a hero, a look inside the battle pass, or even something like what we could see from a future testing grounds and what they have planned, you know, things like that. I'm looking forward to it, but I'll stop here. As always, I do want to know what you guys think, so be sure to talk to me down in the comments about anything we talked about in this video. If you want to talk a little bit more, there is the Discord link in the description, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.